Hello everyone, welcome to Lush and Salty Aquariums. My name is Stefan. Thank you for coming to the channel. I'm starting from my chair looking at what I affectionately call the TV set aquarium because it's sitting right where a TV would be in my what would be a den but is my fish room. As many of you know, I live in the heart of the city, Chicago, in an old apartment building. So not only do I not have a basement or a garage to set up a fish room, I don't even really have a true den. I mean, there's doors all over the place. I'm essentially in what might have been a big pantry back in the day. I don't know. Who knows? It's pre-war building. The history is unbelievable. I mean, some of these apartments, like bigger ones than mine, had servants' quarters. So this could have been one of a servants' quarters when this apartment was actually even bigger, a part of the one next to it. But you're not here for an architectural or a Chicago history lesson. You're here to look at fish, to look at plants, and to peek into my fish world. This is an ADA, the 60H, the H for high. It's like a tall boy. So you can see it's a beautiful, not quite a cube, a little bit taller than it is wider, I would think. But she's a thing of beauty, right? You can see just from here the way nature composes this glorious still life. Obviously I put all the plants in, but in many ways I rely on what's happening with them to dictate what will happen to them. So things that are doing well, I encourage. Things that are doing poorly, I actually eliminate, discourage. And with plants, you know, there's really no ethical discussion there. If a plant isn't doing well, I'll remove it, same way we remove algae. My problem isn't that plants aren't doing well, it's that they all are doing well, and that creates a competition. Ultimately, I have to cull all of these plants, and you can see why. It's pretty obvious. I actually took a couple of the raising petals from this red tiger lotus and snipped them out not very long ago, as they were eliminating a lot of the swimming space for all these marvelous nano fish, which I will get to. But more on this red tiger lotus, it's crept its structure underneath the main piece of hardscape, and now all the way in the back, red is coming up. And right there, I used to have my Ludwigia repens, but one had to go, and I thought for the sake of maintenance, it would be actually a better idea to let the red tiger lotus give me the red color in this tank and also raise up the color in the back instead of relying on the repens. And so I pulled the last strand of Ludwigia repens out. That's a big Ludwigia, so it was always kind of cumbersome in a tank this crowded with this many other kinds of plants. So I'm not missing it terribly, although it was doing so remarkably well. This plant needs to be trimmed, but I'm rather liking the look of how the mermaid weed is filling out that back space, even though it's spilling over. I will tend to that, and but I wanted to show you as it stands right now, because I actually kind of like the effect, but I can't just encourage the plant to grow willy-nilly like a hornwort or something. It'll start dropping roots from its stem structure. It'll start doing what it needs to do to thrive, and I want to control it because these are my gardens, and every gardener needs to keep his hands in the dirt, and I keep my hands in the tank. That plant that I just fiddled with is Crypticorn Balancea. Once it gets going, it really gets going. I pulled a few pieces just an hour ago of these long strands, but I do like, again, that wild look. It's very beautiful. The plant's happy, and it's not messing with some of this other stuff like my this prize colony of Bucephalandra. And then obviously the red tiger lotus and the Anubias, the different kinds that are occupying the center of the tank. If these other climbing and diving and spreading plants were to get too robust, it could compromise the way the other plants receive light and nutrition. I have some Blixa japonica, bacopa, and java fern, and Anubias petite, nice colony there. And in the back, a plant that has seen better days. After about 2 years, the Cypress halferi has got a lot of yellowing leaves. I'm not sure if I'm gonna pull it. I like the way it looks regardless. I don't think it's dead. I just think it's not doing as brilliantly as it used to. And you know, circle of life, right? And speaking of life, how about all these aquarium fish? The Espy rasbora, the rummy nose rasbora, the dwarf golden barb. There's a couple endlers in here. There's some red Bexfordite pencilfish and black phantom tetras and neon tetras, or actually cardinal tetras. So a whole bunch of fish, and I haven't even talked about the bottom dwellers. I see a panda catfish right there. Hey, little guy, leading his best life, I'm sure. There are some bristlenose in here. I have one of these delightful snow white juveniles. I see him with my eye. There. Ta-da! I've got 1 or 2 in every tank because I was able to get them at a good price from a couple sources, and I'm captivated by them. And once they get to be a larger size, I might even try my first breeding project with them. They're a lucrative species. People will pay $60 for a sub-adult easily. But I'm not a fish breeder, I'm a fish admirer. When they breed, I'm more happy because it shows that they're healthy. So I get a lot of spawning behavior in here from the different species, not including the endlers, which you know, anybody will get a spawning behavior from them. But all these others are egg scatterers for the most part. I mean, the rasboras will lay underneath leaves. I'm pretty sure they have all spawned. I've seen the various behaviors from the different fish, and I can tell when they're doing that and when males are flashing or when there is actual mating. And I've seen it from many of the fish in this aquarium. But because it's such a robust ecosystem, I've never seen fry. Honestly, I've never seen eggs. I know I've had some Corridora babies in here because there are pandas that are very, very small, so I didn't put those in there. But I never saw the eggs or did anything to encourage them. And I'm not in a position to do that when you commit to a community aquarium, and you tend to have so many different species that all get along, but many will predate on juveniles, and it kind of goes without saying. But I do see an incredible amount of fun fish behavior, of which spawning is just one behavior. Flashing, schooling. It's exciting when the fish all jumble together, but it's also cool when they separate or find their own kind and create a micro school. That's all. I just love that. Now, it's funny, guys, because in the beginning when I did my 2.0 of this fish room, I always thought I was gonna have like a species only dedicated aquariums for the most part. But addict that I am, I see something I like and I just, I make an exception, and before you know it, all my tanks become community tanks. Now, I keep within the guidelines of species, and tetras and rasboras and coreodoras are some of the most gentle groups in the fish world, and so I like to keep members from those fish more so than, say, cichlids or barbs, more aggressive kinds of barbs. But I do have a fantasy of a giant tank that had only like 8,500 tiger barbs. I think that would be so cool. There's a nice view of that snow white bristlenose. You can see, or you could see, you see his tail there, but the contrast against those red leaves is so awesome. Periodically I trim the pothos, but I like the way it comes down. It also sort of marries the technology to what it's servicing. Form and function kind of come together, and nature gives me this natural, easy to trim scape, an environment where you get this glorious still life, right? You see a couple art pieces I put on either side, those brass bookends that a great friend of mine got me for my birthday a million years ago. And then in the center, the plant is encouraged by the light, so it's more robust there. And then the two vines on either side, like pigtails. And then, of course, the organized chaos of a nature aquarium. It's chaos, but I do a lot of fiddling to make sure each plant is getting the best chance and that all the fish are getting what they need. And if you're gonna stock the way I stock, you really do have to be mindful. This is not a set it and forget it hobby. If it is for some people, it absolutely isn't for me. Without me fiddling and doing routines in this fish room, it would degrade, especially with all the livestock that I keep. So I'm sort of just lecturing to myself, preaching to the converted. You all I haven't said anything earth-shattering or no hot takes, just kind of telling it like it is. Organized chaos, half of that phrase, yeah, chaos for sure is, untended, but the other part of the phrase is organized, and that's where me, the fish keeper, the hobbyist, the nature enthusiast, the gardener, that's where I become fulfilled and do my part to mitigate the chaos. If you have any questions about this aquarium or anything else, I'm so excited and happy to be able to help. Any comments would be greatly appreciated. Sometimes the algorithm is not my friend, and I don't get a lot of views, and I guess it's because the channel isn't being served for whatever reason. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. If any criticism about what I do here, if it's respectfully given, it will be respectfully received and even encouraged. I've learned a lot from some of you, and I could start naming names, but people have said, you should do this, or when I misspeak about a plant or a fish, I'm corrected. And I love that, because that's how I learn. Staring at videos, I think sometimes our brains don't process the way one-on-one communication. Now, granted, a comment on a YouTube channel isn't 101 communication in the old world, but in our world, it's what we do. And so I love to get it and learn from it. All right, everybody, as always, keep your hands in the tank, albeit carefully. Ciao for now.